Hello, everyone. Today we're here to talk to you about a wonderful program that helps women and girls all over the world. And we're here with Reba Winsinger and Trish White, who are both very involved in this program. I'm going to sit back and let them tell you about it. Reba, tell us about Days for Girls and
Sure.
what it is and why it's important.
Sure. Days for Girls is an organization that makes washable, reusable, sanitary products for women in developing countries who have very little or no access to disposable products like we do here in the United States. And so we get together and we sew these items and gather materials needed to put together a kit that really enables a woman to be able to go through that time of the month where she has the most need with dignity, with respect, in a way that offers her days back. A woman over her lifetime spends so much time menstruating that in many cultures, that's a time of shame, a time of taboo, a time of isolation. And so being able to receive a Days for Girls kit allows a woman to go on about her life in a normal way, allows a young girl to go to school without fear of her uniform getting dirty or something getting soiled. And so it truly does give those days back that would normally be spent in shame and in isolation. So it's an amazing resource, and it's an amazing thing to be part of, to be able to reach out with the hands and love of Christ through giving a Days for Girls kit. Should we look at one?
Yes, that would be
work?
fine.
All right.
Let's look at it.
Yeah,
to
we'll look
see
at
what
this.
we're-
So we make a drawstring bag that everything goes into so that the women can carry the kit. And we even put a little label on it. And research has shown that something with a label, something that's new, greatly reduces a woman's, or especially a girl's, risk of getting snatched into the sex trade because somebody is caring for her, somebody is looking after her. So that's one of the things that we make by the thousands in our group. And then we make other pieces as well. So let me pull this on out and I can show you. So we make a waterproof pouch that everything goes into, little travel pouch, and this is able to hold a soiled pad very easily, so the young person or the woman can carry that home as she has need. The main piece that we make is this piece here called the shield. And the shield is made of cotton fabrics, and it's more like a placeholder for a pad. It's not absorbent, but it has a layer of the waterproofing fabric inside. And it snaps around the panty, just like the winged liners that we can buy, but it snaps around the panty. And then we show the girls that they can put 1, 2, 3, or more of the cloth pads inside. And so the cloth pads are made of flannel. They're very absorbent, and we show the girls that they can put several in as they need on a heavier flow day. And then as they get soiled, it's very easy to remove one, tuck it in the little bag to take it home and wash it. We give the girls 8 pads and 2 of the shields, so they really have all that they need for that time of the month, and so they can keep things clean and neat. We also provide them with 2 pairs of panties, a washcloth, and a bar of soap, and that is everything that is in the kit, and made with care. And we know, because we make these all the time, right, that we have to make them to certain quality standards so that they last 3 to 4 years. So it's a neat
wonderful
process to get to be part of all the making.
Trish, tell me what you're doing with this project.
Well, I'm involved with a group of ladies in Louisville at Christ the Servant Lutheran. It's close to my house, and we just meet once a month, and everybody takes a different task. You don't have to know how to sew because there's so many steps that go into completing the kit. You can press, you can cut, you can thread the ribbon. But I'm involved in making the shields, the serging, and I'm involved in making the liners and mostly the shields. And I sew a lot of those at home. So
I see.
Yeah.
How long has Days for Girls been in existence?
Days for Girls has been around, I believe it's 13 years now. It was
2008, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And so it was started by a woman who was helping in an orphanage in Kenya. And after post-war violence, their normal orphanage of 400 children swelled to over 1,400. And so this woman was going to help to provide clean water, food, and other resources for the children. And she just had a thought one night. She's like, what do girls do when they're on their period? What do they do? So she was able to email the director of the orphanage, and he responded. He said, nothing. We might
cardboard.
Yeah, we might have them sit on a piece of cardboard, sit on some newspaper. We don't have any resources for them. And so she thought, oh my goodness, we've got to do something. And so she organized and got all these disposable pads delivered to the orphanage. And when she got there a few weeks later, she said it was the most horrendous sight. There were pads everywhere. They were on the ground, they were in the latrines, they were in little chinks in the fence. People were trying to reuse. Oh, she's like, it was the most horrible, horrible sight. And she said, okay, something's got to be done. And so the first Days for Girls kits, these have been through many, many alliterations. I think we're up to like 36 different alliterations of the kit to become what it is today. The first ones were white, thinking, oh, they could be, bleached in the sun. Well, that means you've got to hang all these, things out for weeks at a time. That didn't work, and so they continued to work on developing what is now the kit to be bright, pretty colors, stain hiding, and to be like non-offensive when it's hanging up on a wash line as well. A lot of thought and a lot of preparation has gone into these, and they still receive information back from women who are using them, like, what works, what doesn't work, if you could change something, what would it be? And we listen to those things and we make those changes. So every year in July, changes come down from Days for Girls and they say, oh, we're going to change this a little bit, or we're going to change that a little bit. And we respond to that and we do it. And we start making things maybe a little differently so that women have exactly what they need.
And I understand as this program has grown, there is now a place in the U.S. that sends these to where they are needed, so that any organization that wanted to get involved in making these wouldn't be picking their final destination, but would be sending them to a local.
That is the case. There are 3 distribution centers throughout the U.S., one in Utah, one in Pennsylvania, one in Missouri, and so they do accept from all of, there's about 1,000 teams and chapters. You're in Louisville, I'm down in Littleton, and so we get together and we sew these items, sew these components, and then when there's a larger need, last year we contributed about 500 kits to Lebanon after the big explosion that had happened there. Their infrastructure was destroyed. Women still needed products, but they weren't able to get disposable products easily, and so we were able to send about, Days for Girls as a whole was able to send about 30,000 kits to women there to meet a need. And so yes, we are able to send things to those like collection points where they're able to gather things together and send them out. So yeah, but every team works a little bit differently as far as like how they distribute. So we get a lot of just individuals that come to our team saying, hey, we're going to Haiti, or we're going to Brazil, or we're going to, our most recent one, we just distributed about 600 kits to South Sudan because there was a need. And we had somebody that was actually a team of people who were going, and we packed the kits up into big duffel bags, and that was their luggage that they took. So.
Do you have any idea how many of these kits have been distributed?
Almost 3 million to date.
Oh
so
my.
Yes,
That's just
and they
amazing.
are given away to women at no cost. There's not a cost to the women receiving the kits. They are given away at no cost, and we also do a pretty extensive education program when the women receive the kits. It's not just like, oh, here, take these things, you'll need this when you bleed. But we actually give them an education. It's about a 2-hour course that goes over what is going on in a woman's body, and then proper care and use of the kit, not to share it, things like that. Proper hand washing. In many cultures, that's still something that's being worked on. And touch a little bit on avoiding being snatched into the sex trade, as well as a little bit on self-defense and the power of saying no. And so there's a lot of things that are being given to women. Knowledge is power, and still in so many cultures, women just don't have the knowledge that they need to to know, what's going on. If they can't go to school, well, but they're old enough to have babies, well, why not just stay home and have babies? But if we can provide a kit like this, it can stop that cycle of poverty. It can stop that cycle of having babies at a young age and allow women to get an education, which then will allow them to get a job and to really have a life of hope, and also being able to pass that on to their children when they do have them one day.
It's amazing that something seemingly so simple can have such a large impact
Definitely.
on the culture and on the world.
Can I tell a story?
Of course.
All right. So one of our first distributions that we did was in rural Tanzania. This was probably, I guess 6.5, 7 years ago now. And I had a woman who came and was like, we need to figure out, like, kids are dropping out of school because they're hungry. Kids are dropping out of school because, because of their period. How do you help? What do you do? And so I was able to share a kit with her. And she worked in a very, very rural area in Tanzania. And when she understood what the kit really was about, when she saw it, she held it, she touched it, she started to cry. She said, you have no idea. She says, this is going to change women's lives in my village in Tanzania. I said, well, what do women do right now when they're on their period? She says, nothing. They just free bleed. We're so far away by vehicle. It would be about a 6-hour drive to be able to get like African-made pads that don't last very long and they're very expensive. And then if you wanted like good American brands like Always or something, you'd have to travel by a bus or car or whatever, about 17 hours to be able to get them. So she's like, that's not happening in our rural village. There's no money for pads. There's nothing like that. And so she said, if you were to go up to a hut and say, hello, they might say, oh, please don't come in. I don't want you to see the blood. And so she said, being able to provide these kits to them will be able to allow them to even just come out of their hut to their cooking area, to provide for their children, to provide for their families. She said the first kit that we give is going to be given to a woman named Nima. She's now this was 6 years ago, but at that time, Nima was a recent widow, and she had 5 children under the age of 6. And she was, during that time, she's not able to go out to her cook stove and cook for her children. She just has to rely on auntie or somebody, to send some food or something. And so she said, here she is, the only ways that because she's a widow, the only way she has to provide money for herself and her family is she cooks different items and walks and sells them, but she can't do that when she's on her period. And so, Nima was the first person in the village to receive one of these kits, and it transformed her life. She's now the one that basically goes around teaching other women about the Days for Girls kits, how to use them. She does the whole presentation, she and a group of a few other women, and is able to, and still does it today. She's able to share with them how to use the kits, and it has truly transformed her life, because when she wears it, she's able to just go on with her life as though it's normal, it's natural. This is a normal, natural part of our lives, but in other cultures, it kind of stops life.
That's a wonderful story. I understand you also brought some pictures with you, and maybe you can talk a little bit about.
Oh, definitely. Yep. So got some pictures of doing a distribution of kits in Sierra Leone. I had the privilege of going to Africa to actually deliver some of the kits, and was able to do distribution right on the beach to a group of women, and just share with them about their body and how to use the kits and things like that. And they received them with such great joy, especially when they found out that there were panties in the kit. They got very, very excited. It's a culture that's taught respect in that they don't really, when you're speaking, you don't look someone in the eye. So that was a little hard for me to be speaking to a group of people and their heads are all down. But when I showed the panties, all the eyes came up, and there was a lot of noise in the group, and they got very, very excited. And then the flannel too. They've never experienced anything so soft. And so when we were passing some of the pieces around, we saw a lot of them rubbing it on their faces because it's so soft, and it's just, they've just been used to like rough rags or nothing. That they use, and so this really has changed a lot within their little village, having the Days for Girls kits.
Reba, you mentioned, and Trish as well, enterprises. How are women getting involved?
Oh, definitely. So one of the opportunities that Days for Girls extends to women in country where there is a need is to learn to make these items so that they can sew them on their own, and then use the proceeds from selling that to start just a small enterprise within their own community so that they can sell the products to women in need. They usually don't sell like a full kit, but maybe just like a piece. So that it becomes more affordable. You know, what's interesting is a lot of times if a woman is selling just the one, kind of the main component of a kit, which is one shield and one liner, she'll fold it up like this, and it's really kind of neat. So it's this kind of pretty little package, and that's easy to put in your purse, put in your pocket even, put in your backpack, whatever you need. So we call this a pod, a portable object of dignity, and so women will sell this for about the same price as a locally made small package, maybe 5 or 6 disposable pads. So they cost the same, but how long are 5 disposable pads going to last? Well, 4 or 5 days. How long is this going to last? Do we remember? 3 to 4 years. That's correct. And so it really is amazing that they can spend the same amount on the product, but have something that will last. And then as they're able to afford more pieces, they could maybe go back and get another one, or buy just a pad or something like that they would need to kind of extend what they have. And so women like myself, I've gotten the opportunity to go to, I was in Sierra Leone teaching women on treadle sewing machines, how to actually sew the pieces and make the pieces so that they could start a small enterprise there. It was 5 years ago, and they're still making them and selling not only Days for Girls kits, but some clothing, like my beautiful shirt from Sierra Leone, and other pieces so that they can have somewhat of an income for themselves and their families. So it has become a way to, again, be sustainable and something that is able to continue. So the amounts of money that they do receive also go into buying more materials so that they can make more. So it's been really a really powerful program to be able to, again, give women the opportunity to make and give to their own communities.
Thank you for that. You mentioned some other stories you had. Do you care to share some with
Oh,
us?
sure, I'd love to. So I think a really special story is from a friend of mine who did a distribution of kits in India. And one of the places that she went to do the distribution was to a group of developmentally disabled young women and their mothers. And so she was able to go and give the kits, explain what they were. And she said the most remarkable thing happened. I'm giving away these kits, and the women kept coming forward, and they were placing their forehead on her feet. And she was like, "Oh, stop, don't do that. This is just a gift." And an interpreter came up to her and said, "Allow them to do this. This is the only way that they have of saying thank you. This is the only thing that they have to give back to you, is to show you honor." And she just said, she's like, "I will carry that with me all my life, of these women that have never received a gift. They've never received something so personal for themselves. They have battled through, their periods, and yet here they are prostrating themselves, almost like bowing down." She's like, "It was a little intimidating to me at first, but then I understood that, okay, this is them showing honor. This is them saying thank you for something that, we can go anywhere and get pads and tampons and cups and discs and anything that we need. We have washing machines, we can wash our clothing, but this is people that have nothing." And she said in India, it's really sad because outside of their place of worship, there'll be a sign. Can you imagine coming into church here and there's a sign that said, "If you're menstruating, don't come in"? Can you imagine? I would be like, it would be embarrassing, it would be shameful, and that still happens. This is 2023, but that still happens around the world. Women being excluded from activities just because of such a natural part of their lives. And so I just think this just has such an amazing impact to be able to show women that they have value and that they are supported, that they are loved by women around the world. So it's a neat opportunity.
Thank you for that. For either of you, how would somebody have their group or as an individual contribute to this project?
Sure, I can start and then I'll let you finish. So if anybody goes on trips, we can always use little hotel bars of soap. That's super helpful. So that goes in every kit. The items that we purchase for the kits that we do not sew are washcloths. So we always need good cotton washcloths because we put one in every kit. And our group gives away about 1,000 kits per year. So we need a lot of washcloths. And then there's 2 pairs of panties that go in each kit. And so we can always use pairs of panties. That's super helpful.
And they like them to be as close to 100% cotton.
Yep,
as
cotton
you can
panties,
get.
yep, and we can use girls' sizes as small as about 12, because that's generally when a girl starts, and then we go up to about a women's large, so anything in there. And this is a great time of year to be purchasing panties, because they have the big packs for back to school, so that's definitely helpful. And then if we have any sewers out there, and you quilt or you have cotton at your house, we need fabric. We go through about 2,000 yards of fabric in a year, about 1,000 yards of cotton, and about 1,000 yards of flannel. So if you have flannel or cotton that's just sitting around unused, we can sure put it to good use. And you want to tell us a little bit about sewing?
If you want to sew at home, you can do that. Or if you have a serger, all you have to do is know how to sew a straight line.
That's right, yeah.
So you can just do that. So it's not complicated sewing. All you have to do is go a straight line for that. This is a little more complicated. It takes a little finesse to learn how to do the curves, but that's not too bad. And we can always use people to cut things out. Our group is fortunate enough to have a die cutter, so we don't even have to hand cut anymore. We just run it through a machine and it cuts the pieces exact for us. But if
Yep, so if you're in Louisville, we can get in touch with, and we'll put that on the screen. And then if you're closer down to Littleton, we meet once a month as well. And we can always use hands, because we've definitely discovered that only about 30% of what we do is sewing. The other 70%, we just need hands, and the more the better. So if you have a group that wants to get together and we call them maker days, so that we don't intimidate people by saying sewing days, because we don't do a lot of sewing really at ours, but more assembling kits, folding. I taught just last week, everybody learned the new panty rolling method. So we've got everybody learning how to roll those up for us. So just would love to have more hands involved in serving women around the world.
also, if you have extra spools of thread you want to donate, we go through a lot of thread. And also, if you want to just donate cash, you can go to daysforgirls.org and donate to the website.
That's right.
I know this has been a project our chapter of United Women in Faith has been a part of, and one of our members, Joyce Takamine, has also been doing a lot of sewing in her house, as well as ordering. We often send our money to buy more of the panties.
Panties, yes.
And she orders in large quantities from Amazon.
Yeah.
And that
Always
seems
very
to
helpful,
be.
yes.
So you can either start a group to do things together, or there are lots of jobs that individuals can do in their homes.
That's right.
Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
In the book Drawdown by Paul Hawking, he lists the top 10 solutions to climate change. And number 6 is educating girls. Number 7 is family planning. But when you combine educating girls and family planning, it becomes the number 1 solution to climate change. And Days for Girls meets both those needs by educating the girls on where babies come from and by allowing them to stay in school.
I know that's very important to changing lives. for
Well, and I
people
think
around
even just the
world.
kits themselves go contributing toward climate change as well, because in the
They're
course
sustainable.
they're sustainable. In the course of a woman's lifetime, we will discard in disposable products over 450 pounds of period waste. But with a kit like this, because it lasts for 3 to 4 years with proper care, you are reducing hundreds of pounds of waste going into a landfill just by utilizing a reusable option.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here, and it's been very enlightening. I hope many of you will choose to become a part of Days for Girls. Thank you.